recording. That was all pre-show. And by the way, if you want to have that in audio form, if you're here now listening to that, I'll mention it on the show, but you can be a patron and get it. That's what we do. All right. Here it comes then. It starts in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Core. This is Core for April 16th, 2021. It's a Friday. Normally, we record on Thursdays. We didn't yesterday because I had the migraine of all migraines. I don't even normally get those. It's like a rare thing for me. But when I get them, laid me out flat. And the only thing I can blame it on is like weird weather, man. We just had weird, high-pressure weather that messes me up for whatever reason. So forgive me because I'm the cause of the delay. All right, it's all on me. Did you?
Well, I don't know, Scott.
Yeah. How do you feel?
Know.
How do you feel? Are you feeling unforgiving of my?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay,
I feel totally forgiving. I'm happy you're feeling better.
Thank
That
you.
you suck.
That means a lot.
Do better next time.
Thank you. I'll do my best. Oh, I thought of you guys today because I saw there was a big Dwarf Rock game update. And I want to check it out. But that's not what I was going to tell you about at the top of the show. There's some new initiative, and I forgot to write down who's all involved or get a link for it. I'm going to see if I can find it right now. But did you guys see there's this thing called...
involved?
Yes, this Core thing. Yes. And they're calling it Core, and I couldn't be more irritated that they've used the name Core. Bastards.
So it's the problem, Scott, is sometimes you have a name that's just too good and everybody has to take it. But there is Core lowercase. Ours, as you know, is all uppercase and you have to vaguely yell it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really annoying. So, all right, I found it. Here we go. GameStop or Spot has a big write-up. Core is basically a Roblox-style sandbox game, and it's out now on the Epic Game Store. Trying to compete with Roblox, I guess, which is, we've talked about on the show before, is a massive
high fidelity
hit.
Roblox.
Yeah, there you go. And everybody looks like a more, what's the word? Not realistic take. Less of a Lego take on the idea. Which
I think it's built on the Unreal Engine, so I imagine it's trying to look Unreal-like.
Yeah.
Like evoke that, but it won't be as good as
everything. Maybe looks like
I assume it won't be
as
good.
Like,
a tailor-made
it looks like
game.
the Fortnite version of everything.
It does look like Fortnite. Fortnite had a fart, and this is what came out. Is this? I'm sure it's fine, but here's what they describe it as: for the uninitiated, Core is an expansive sandbox that hinges on the conceit of exploring a massive multiverse of worlds that have their own unique experiences, gameplay modes, and narratives to see them play out. Think of it as a blend of Fortnite's colorful and cartoon-like style, the complex creation tools from Media Molecule's Dreams, and the scope of Minecraft and Roblox. Core is interesting because it manages to tie each of its worlds together, which can be accessed from the game's hub world, where players can meet and venture off together. These worlds include familiar stages, shooter levels, and racing worlds, but can also include inventive concepts where players meet up to explore cities on alien planets or alien planets or socialize with other explorers. So it's their take on, Roblox, really. That's like the big... That's the monster in the room that they're trying to compete with here. Manticore Games is making it. They're calling it Core. I say, how dare you take our name and use it for the thing? You jerks. That's fine. We don't care, do we? Do we care? We don't care.
No. I mean, we took some whole body workout podcast name when we renamed or when we took Core. So,
Well, the reason
they did some crunches and got angry. They were like, they're not even about abs.
Yeah, this isn't about working out. I mean, I'm only annoyed because part of the reason we went with Core in the first place is we wanted a name that wasn't just the Hots Cast or Heroes of the Stormcast or whatever. No offense to all of them.
Yeah, those all are probably real shows.
We wouldn't want something called like Into the Nexus. How stupid is that name?
Yeah.
No, that name I like. That name I like because I think that's a unique name and I think they did a good job there.
I'm just teasing Kyle. He might be listening.
Right. But I just don't like when names are just like the game plus cast. I hate that. So Core seemed like a cool thing. And also Core turned out to be versatile. We could move it on into what we're doing now without too much trouble and have it kind of have these different meanings.
Or so we thought. Now we're up against Epic and some game company for
yeah.
So it's fine. What are you gonna do?
Wait, so do we C&D them?
No, because I don't have a lawyer. Do you? I have no lawyers.
Oh no, we just write cease and desist on a letter. Like we'll cut out magazine letters and just put it. Yeah. Serial killer style. Cease and desist. Core.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go off that hitch.
We're in a lucrative position. We have the Core Pod Twitter handle, and if they want to throw some epic cash at us, we're going to be covering how much hundreds of millions of dollars Tim Sweeney's ready to, get rid of.
Yeah.
We're ready to take.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some Sweeney money. Like maybe it'll be like, we were going to do a Core podcast to support our game and our community around it, but you guys are already doing it. So why don't we marry the best of both worlds? Scott can try all kinds of games.
Yeah, I'm in a household with 2 kids that are your target demographic. I will make them uninstall Roblox and install Core if you give me money.
Yeah,
I'm not proud. I'll be like, this is not a Roblox household anymore.
No.
Play Core.
In fact, you pay us enough money, we'll make this show about the game Core and still call it Core. And everyone gets paid. We'll sell out immediately. I'm ready.
Let's chill. Yeah. Let's chill for a Core.
Yeah,
the gaming.
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know what morals get you? Not Sweeney money.
Nope.
Nope.
But apparently Sweeney money isn't all that much money. We're going to get to that in a second.
Really?
Well, it's not as much as everyone might think. And we'll learn that here in our top story. So, Epic CEO Tim Sweeney, we were just referring to, he says he loves that Epic is losing hundreds of millions of dollars on free games.
He loves it?
And he may be right, says The Verge. Yeah, he's
No,
cool.
I said he may be right. Verge also might agree, but I was saying he might be right.
Yeah. Here's what they've done, and this blew me away, this number. They have given away to date, and it's a fun day to talk about this because I just went and got 2 or 3 games that are free right now and grabbed them. I always do. I always get the free ones whether I play them or not, even if I already own them. I just go do it. But anyway, this is how much they've done thus far on the Epic Game Store. $17.5 billion with a B dollars they have given away thus far. That is a lot.
That's a retail value. They've actually, in fact, only lost 400 or 330 million that I'm reading. So.
Right. But if if you're looking at just cost, whatever that's evaluated to be.
Yeah, because they're not giving them the full retail price. They're probably giving them a percentage of the free claims.
I would assume so. Yeah, there's no way they're paying $49 for a $49 game that happens to be free for a month.
Yeah, so. They're playing, business to business prices.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
But I guess, as far as we know, Epic earned more than $700 million in iOS alone in just 2 years. On Fortnite alone. So that's just iOS money, which is hilarious because that's the platform that they're having the big fight with Apple about. I don't know where that's at now. Can I just go get that game now? Do they relent? I don't know how that ended.
I think that's I think it's still ongoing. It says here that because this information was revealed as part of the legal discovery process, so that lawsuit is ongoing. They were published last week, so
I got it.
They're in discovery. They're in Star Trek Discovery.
Well, here's what he said. The numbers looked scary, and Tim Sweeney tweeted, "Yeah, that's right," meaning we do lose millions of dollars, or billions if you want to count it. And it has proven to be a fantastic success in reaching gamers with great games and a fantastic investment into a growing business, he says. Then he jumps on the anti-Apple thing and says, Apple spins this as losing money, but spending now in order to build a great profitable business in the future is exactly what investment is. It's equally true whether you're building a factory, a store, a game, or whatever. I mean, he has a point, but also he has a perspective.
Is Apple throwing shade at Epic? Like, oh, we saw your discovery documents and you're losing money, loser.
No, what's happening here?
Like, are they spinning it?
This is the thing I don't like about Tim Sweeney. They're not saying anything.
Yeah,
they're doing stuff in court, which has nothing to do with this specifically at all. He likes to say Apple spins this as losing money. Apple's not saying anything. They haven't spun anything. They're just...
Yeah, I know. I mean, they made a whole ad throwing shade on them being communists to kick this whole thing off, right? With one of their Fortnite seasons. Like,
yeah.
Pretty, I mean, if it's provoked, it happened behind the scenes. It wasn't something, it was just like, anyway.
I mean, I'm not even saying I don't think Epic has a point, but basically they were breaking terms of service that they signed. And Apple's like, well, we have to enforce them. If we don't for you, then we don't for anyone. So why are we, we know you're huge, but And then their point is, well, these are not good and they hurt people, and they started pretending like it was all about the little guy, but it was never about the little guy. Like as much as I like a lot of what Epic does technically and otherwise, they're kind of villains in this story. They're kind of dicks, which is hard to do.
Honestly, nobody's really good because
No,
Apple
they all
isn't
kinda
right
suck.
either. Like
Yeah.
Apple needs to stop being such a, they don't have to be the be all end all police of their platform. They are capable of
Right.
making business decisions or working with companies and studios and stuff. But Epic's stance of, we're doing it for the people. No, you aren't. You're doing it to make more money.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing what they're doing to make more money. Apple's policies are in place to make them money. You're wanting them to drop the policies are to make you more money. None of it is to the benefit of the people.
Yeah.
Now, there are people who might benefit from it. Part of what Epic wanted would benefit somewhat the developers, them being heavily tied to some of those development costs as well.
Yeah.
But, that's a side effect. They're doing it at their own interests in mind. Like,
course
nobody's
they are.
good. Like, this is the definition of everybody comes out looking.
Right. And also,
dirty.
this is the definition of don't freaking get tribal about brands. They're not here to serve you. They're here to take your
Right.
money, and they'll do it whatever way they can, and stop branding up as if it's like your job to pick a team. It's stupid. It's so stupid. And Tim Sweeney milks that cow for all the milk he can get out of it. He grabs that teat and goes, "Ee." And he squeezes every last drop.
It's hard to what I don't understand. Yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna skip over the whole milking scenario.
all
But
That's what
I
my
appreciate
co-hosts
that
have
you
learned to do. Everyone
acted
I
it
work
out
with,
physically.
everyone I
What
work with knows
bothers
to
me
do
is how
this.
normal it seemed to me. It wasn't
Yeah.
until Scott
Yeah.
laughed and Bo pointed it out that I was like, what Scott did was a little weird.
Yeah, same. I was just like, well, he's milking.
There's Scott just milking stuff again.
Milking
Yeah.
Scott on a Friday.
Yeah.
Nothing weird here.
Kefix made a good point. He says, I don't think that's how you get milk if you want to keep getting milk. He's right. He's right. Anyway, Bo, sorry, you had a point. You
No,
had
it's
a
okay. I don't know what the prize is or end game. Like, you kind of make this assumption when you see companies doing things that they're always up to something. With these very public CEOs are out announcing things or being controversial. They're doing it for reasons. Whether it's trolling or just to show how great their company is. Like Blizzard does it, right? They have these great videos showcasing their company, and you kind of get the sense that, well, they're probably trying to bolster their investor perception or the public's perception, blah 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 blah. I just don't know. I feel like there's like an identity crisis with Tim Sweeney. Like, sometimes when I read his tweets, I'm like, he does realize he's the CEO of this like megacorp and not like somebody who doesn't want to do their homework and hates school and is
Yeah.
like trying to stick it to people. And it's like,
He's not one
So
of
I just
us
don't-
in that way, right? Like, he's not.
well,
He wants to position himself like, I'm just a nerd like you, and I want to see you get a better cut or whatever. No.
yeah, if he wasn't CEO of Epic and just a random dude, it'd be like, okay, that's how that person thinks, and I get it. But that's what I mean. He doesn't talk like a lot of the other CEOs, and I guess they feel that's a good thing.
Maybe.
But it's tone deaf. It's like, you're a massive company. Forget the money you make on the Epic Store with Fortnite. You create the underpinning engine that everyone's beholden to you to give money for a ton of studios and games. Like, you are so embedded in the industry
yeah.
that they could lose money on all of this and they'd still be a company making the Unreal Engine. Like,
Yeah.
it really is like, we're talking about the icing and the real story is the cake. So it just seems so, this pissing contest seems so weird. And that, I think Tim's trying to make it a pissing contest and they're trying to market it that way and approach it that way. And I feel like the rest of the companies are just, being corpos be corpos. Like, they're just like,
Yeah.
doing
Well,
reacting with PR speak and all that crap.
Yeah.
The thing that really gets me is he's trying to weaponize the outrage that gaming culture tends to foster. It's definitely a community, like a lot of communities, especially with like nerd and geekdom, where people get very passionate about it. There's definitely a crowd that can get riled up when you say the wrong thing. And I don't think harassing developers and harassing people doing their job is ever acceptable. And I think that that's the stance Epic takes when it's their people. But then you have people like Tim weaponizing it essentially and going like, hey, look what Apple's doing to you guys. Don't you want to bring down the man? Let's do a fun Fortnite video about how bad Apple is. Like, that's riling that crowd up specifically and intentionally.
Yeah.
And that super sucks because you don't get to play both sides of that. You don't get to go, hey, our developers are just trying to do a job. You shouldn't sending death threats and getting all upset isn't cool. And then aim that cannon at somebody else and try and fire it. That's not right.
Yeah. It's funny. I just realized both of the CEOs of both companies are Tims. Didn't think about that before. Maybe they could come together and go have like a Martha moment, you know, where it's like,
why'd you say that?
Your name is Tim? Wait a minute. You're Tim? You're Tim
I'm
also?
Tim Apple. You're Tim Epic.
Tim Epic and Tim Apple finally work out their differences.
All that talk makes me feel like in the Cyberpunk Illuminati version of the story that this has all been planned from the jump anyways.
It does feel like that sometimes.
I mean, that's just the issue we have with the internet in 2021 and the disinformation,
sure,
intentional and just accidental that goes around with these kinds of things.
Yeah.
But it's also very dystopian cyberpunk to just look at it and go, yeah, they're just keeping in the news. All these legal conflicts, all these issues. It's just to stay in the news cycle. It's just how you stay relevant in 2021 with the short attention span. It's a story.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, if there's a gold, like if there's like some gold baron who's fighting with a coal baron, and the coal barons are like, that gold baron guy is screwed with the coal supply chain, you know. Do we ever talk about that shit? It's like, no, but that might happen. There are people that, you know, they're CEOs of gold companies and coal companies.
Yeah.
And I will never even hear about it. So I just feel like the tech industry in particular is kind of, you know, good at this whole news feed thing. And it's just, there's just really nothing to see here.
It's because we're all jacked in, right? Like if you're super interested in the coal market, you're jacked into that, but there's very few of you. People just get there, you know, coal happens, electricity happens, you have your stuff, you pay your bills, and that's
I mean, the guy who owns all the coal commodities is not on Twitter going like, man, this coal sure is sweet. We got new coal coming out next week.
Right.
The update to our coal supply chain is off.
Yeah. Once again, we're the suckers. We're the problem. This is always the case. Like I feel this way more and more, especially about politics and other stuff, but we're the problem. Like people always complain, I can't believe this congressman said what he said. And I'm like, well, I can't believe you elected him. And I can't believe people who elected him felt the way they did. And that's they were a reflection of us, not the other way around. And this is like that too. It's like, we're suckers for this. We love a tribal fight. We love don't try to keep me down. You stick it to the man. And if you're in whatever team you pick and you hold on for dear life and you never back down, and it sucks. It's just the word. Yeah, it takes advantage of human behavior that is already there. And that's what I think Tim Sweeney's just doing it. And maybe he is one of us. Maybe he really feels this way about stuff. And he would be, if he wasn't Tim Sweeney, he'd be on Reddit right now ripping somebody a new butthole because he's just that kind of guy. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's just a person. CEO doesn't make him a magical fairy. He's a human being like us. So, you know, one of the marvels of our information age is that we get to see people in positions like that be, you know, not feel like gods or look godly when they're showing their just human nature, which is appeal of live streaming and a lot of this stuff. But I don't know. It's just, I think you're right about that whole, you know, Coke versus Pepsi, or the way we have to make teams like in Canada here, you know, Montreal Canadiens versus Toronto Maple Leafs. That's an age-old rivalry. It's just people living in different cities. Like, who gives a shit about that? But it's really important to hockey fans in Canada. You know, that's an age-old rivalry. And, you know, whenever there's a match between them in the playoffs, then it's a big topic of conversation. It's like, no, it's just a hockey game. We've had 100 million of them now, and it's just another hockey game. Like, but that's what we do. And
it's a weird thing people have
to be a sourpuss about it is just to rob people of their enjoyment of it. And I think people just enjoy. There are people enjoying this story, and this thing, and people who go to Epic and be like, I only have the Epic Games launcher because I get free games because Tim gets me, and you know, Timmy. And that's just what we're looking at, I think. Here.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Well, he says they're doing fine, and I believe them because they probably are. And I like getting free games. I'm not going to complain about their free games. It's fine. Go ahead and keep losing money. You're probably not losing any anyway. Like you say, you're losing it. But
it has kept the Epic launcher on my computer far longer than it would have if they weren't doing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been successful. And like you said, there are times where I go, I really like that game. I already own it. I really like it. Should I get it for free on Epic?
Uh-huh.
What if the day comes I'm just using the Epic store? Might as well get it for free now rather than buy it again later.
Right.
I'll do it. And it's a dumb thing. It's a really stupid thing, but I think it. And so when he says like, hey, this is an investment, I can see where that might be an investment. It has kept the Epic launcher relevant.
Yeah.
If they weren't doing it, it would be relevant to Fortnite people, and the only game they're playing is Fortnite. So, good.
And
good
it is unprecedented. Like, it is history. No other company has given away games to that extent. Like, they get that win, I guess you could say.
By the way, the total number of games, I was trying to find out. Oh, they didn't number them. I don't want to number them myself. All right. Well, anyway, they started. The very first one was on the first game they ever gave away for free was on 4/12/2015, way before the launcher was the launcher we know now, and that was Shadow Complex Remastered. Very cool game, by the way. Developed right here in Salt Lake City. Good. Anyway, after that, let's see, 12/14/2018, the very first Epic Store launcher game was Subnautica. The original Subnautica is on there. Then you got Super Meat Boy, and it just goes on from there and brings us current, which is, I don't know what current is. Anyway, the point is, it's a lot. It's a lot. That is a giant library of games right there that I'm looking at. It's huge. And some really good games in this list. If your goal was to just do nothing but collect a great library of games and do it for no money, you did. It's done. You have it. If you did the work to go log in and get it, which I did every week, so I have everything they've ever given away. Will I ever go back and play Horus or The Bridge or Amnesia: The Dark Descent or Civilization 6? I already have it somewhere else, or GTA 5, which I also have somewhere else. Am I ever going to do that? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. I've got this, I have a library now.
Oh, at some point they're going to do, maybe they have something planned. There's going to be something big, and they're going to be only on Epic, the core podcast.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, sweet, I'm already in that environment. I benefit from this. It's mainly used as an advertising platform. Like, the fact that you get free games means you're agreeing to have that in your eyeballs and make that a part of your life. And that's how they play this game.
Yeah.
Get
ready for
the way they're losing money, by the way.
Yeah.
I think Outriders is built on the Unreal Engine, and I bought it on Steam. So Valve took 30% of that money. Like, whatever 30% is left over of the earnings is lessened by the fact that Steam probably gets their cut first, I have to imagine, before Epic. So screw you, Epic.
Yeah. Well,
I'm with Valve.
Enjoy. Yeah, I'm Team Valve. Enjoy our lives, the three of us, our lives when we had decent search engine optimization for the term core. It's going away.
Yeah.
So I'm already.
Maybe we need to put a little subtitle: "Core," the better use of the word "core" podcast about games. That'll help.
It's funny. I haven't talked about this much, but it's one of the fastest growing shows on the Frog Pants Network. And
really,
yeah, people love Core.
That's great.
Core gets more email than any show I do right now. That includes anything you'd think gets more, it doesn't. This gets more. It's growing faster than anything else we do, and I don't really have any answers as to why, except I think I think we're doing good work here. But part of that was, our discoverability just took a hit, is what I'm saying. It's okay. It's all right, Tim Sweeney, with your Sweeney money.
You know what? I hate to poo-poo things ahead of time, but this also looks like vaporware. Like, it looks like shit in a way. Like, I hope to be proven wrong, but there's nothing exciting. Minecraft is still way more popular. The premise that you're making an editor with sweet assets in it, is they got to know, I'm in danger. Because the games that do it well are the games like Minecraft and Roblox, the shit games, because sorry, I shouldn't say shit games, but the shit asset games, because production is way easier on them to keep updates relevant. Every time they've got to update with new assets, they're like, well, we've got to get some top-notch artists and make some really nice things. And, and then when it looks when high fidelity stuff looks shoddy, it really stands out, and nobody wants to be a part of it. But Minecraft stuff can look shoddy all day, and everyone's like, well, it's so amazing.
There's also this issue that's hard to ignore, which is an established power player in a certain genre, especially in gaming. When that happens, they stay there. They tend to stay there. And they should know this, because Fortnite stayed there. It was the first really mainstream battle royale. Others had come before, yes, but this was like the one that stuck. It's the iPod of battle royales, and it stuck. So nobody's even going to come close to those numbers. You can have fun little offshoots. Apex Legends is awesome. There's lots of cool games, but none of them crack those numbers. By the same token, nobody is going to crack Minecraft / Roblox numbers for the same reason. The gorilla already exists, and people are happy with their gorilla. Like, they're already over there milking their gorilla. Again, with the milking. I don't know why I'm back to milking.
Jeez, wow.
That's how you milk an angry gorilla.
I think it's more like this, though. They don't really have big udders,
well,
right?
they have big, like, stretchy ones. Like, you have to really yank them
Sorry,
down.
we shouldn't maybe go into detail.
I love Scott's pantomime of it. This is stretchy. It's like taffy. Gorilla nipples.
You got to really rub it out. But anyway, but like Blizzard learned this lesson, didn't they? They come in and they dominate something like an MMO, and it's easy to say, well, we took that from the hands of EverQuest and whatever. Well, not really. You just represented the final monster, the thing that said, we are the biggest, and now we will always be the biggest. And you probably will be there, Blizzard, with that, but you tried to do Heroes of the Storm, which I love, we all love. Why didn't it crack that egg? Because the gorilla was in another castle the whole time, and it was called League, and to some degree Dota. It was already there, and there was no way. Yeah, and you feel like you're Blizzard. You're the ones. If anyone can crack it, you can. And I'm sure glad they tried, because I love their game, but you didn't. And I don't know why Epic thinks they will, with this weirdness in the face of those two other games they're aiming for. Assuming they're aiming for those. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Also,
Maybe
going higher quality isn't going to be the thing. My kids aren't out there going, hey, man, I really like Roblox. It's everything I ever wanted in a video game, but, it looks like shit. Like, they don't care. Anytime I insult how that game looks, which I do plenty, I get nasty looks from them. They don't think it looks bad.
Yeah.
And they're happy that it runs on the fairly inexpensive computers we got so they could do school from home. Right. Like, that's the other thing. I don't know if this core game is going to work on those PCs. It probably won't, because if it looks much nicer than Roblox, it probably ain't going to play it very well.
Right.
So you've got a whole bunch of kids all with computers designed to just do web meetings all day, and Roblox runs on that.
Yeah.
No guarantee that this core game is going to, and those kids aren't sitting there going, man, if only this game looked good. Like, they're totally happy. It fills the exact need that they feel they have.
Yeah.
The people that aren't happy with Roblox are the parents, and they're not the ones playing it. So,
right.
I don't see it knocking the king off that throne.
Even on a lower level comparison, you can look at something like Slay the Spire, which is by every account ugly as sin. That's an ugly video game. Okay, it has a charm maybe, but it's like a stoner kid drew it in his art class.
It's a good game, just not visually.
It's an amazing game,
visually.
Right? But visually, it's like, it'll get by because the game's amazing, and that's been fine. There are a million wannabe Slay the Spire, some better than others. But most of them have opted to do that, to go really hardcore on the graphics, and that's how they're better in their minds. But they still haven't unseated it as the one that's the big influencer, the one that just makes everybody go, oh my gosh, this is an amazing new genre, or a new twist on deck building or whatever. Like, they still kind of own that space. And as much as I'm excited about games like Clay's, I forgot the name of the damn thing. Anyway, their new thing which is really cool, animated, bunch of story, like, just really ups their game as far as visuals go. At the end of the day, they also need to do something with the gameplay, or else you're just Slay the Spire with a new skin on it. And that's hard to do. Once somebody owns the space, it's just, making your Animal Crossing ripoffs, or your freaking Mario side-scroller ripoffs, or whatever it is, whatever era of gaming we're talking about. It's just hard. So I don't know why well, whatever. They're Epic. They got a lot of money and a lot of chutzpah and a lot of, they got
I'm just, now that we're just deep into this core topic, I'm watching like the trailer.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing maybe this is Silver Moon, or it's a Warcraft. Definitely vibes off of Warcraft architecture. And then there's Orgrimmar.
Oh yeah.
Like there's literally, I'll send the screenshot over.
See, that's what I would assume. If they want to compete at all, they got to give a lot of creativity to their players to do whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it looks like that'll be in there. I don't know. Yeah, let
me look here. Roblox style.
I mean,
so
the problem is it might be like
I may have to go play
the
this.
case where
Yeah.
they make something and it's like their developers can make awesome things, but when you get into your hands, all your shit sucks. Like it's, you know what I mean? Sometimes with these creative programs, you want to be able to make something awesome, and then you can't because you need to actually, know how to use Unreal Engine still to some degree. I don't know, but like this is clearly, it looks a lot like Front Gates of Orgrimmar.
Yeah, I'm looking at all sorts. They've recreated all sorts of stuff that's like from other games of other things. Like the comparison to Dreams is probably a fair one. And it looks, the fidelity looks nice. I'm not saying they can't do amazing things with this. My biggest complaint is that it sounds like our podcast name, and I'm annoyed. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That's my biggest complaint.
Yeah. If I had,
but I want to poop on it so that they feel pressure to sponsor us, and then we can, we can play World of Warcraft Shadowlands in this system, mixed with World of Tanks.
What's weird about it, though, I'm watching some of this gameplay where the guys just kind of running around doing stuff, like in the editor. It just looks like a weird mod to Fortnite. Like it's the same dudes.
I mean, it is essentially modding because it simplifies. You don't actually have to. If you could just make a game, you would get an actual game engine like Godot or Unreal or Game Maker and work on something. The idea is, I think it's not just meant for younger folk, but probably people who are if you were getting into game design and needed an easy way to execute ideas and practice, like this is something I guess you could play in. So I think there will be people who might find, if this is good, it would be a good thing.
I mean, this guy basically made a shooter, and he's playing in a shooter. But the game's not a shooting game. It can be one. Like that's the whole point, I guess, right? You just enter these. Yeah,
like I feel like because I'm looking at one of the screenshots, if it looks like Unreal Engine Lite, like the editor itself for when you're making your game looks a lot like the Unreal Engine, but simplified and
Holy shit! I'm watching video now. They made what's the game where you run around as a little blob bean looking dude?
The running game?
Yeah, what's that called?
Push and run? Fall Guys?
Fall Guys. They made a Fall Guys ripoff. Like I'm watching it play right now. This is Fall Guys.
It's not an appropriate Roblox like unless you're ripping off every other popular video game that's come out in the last 5 years.
I don't know how I feel about it.
That's its job.
Doesn't it
figured it out, guys. I figured it out, guys. Tim Sweeney wants to give away all the games for free. So while he has contracts for the ones he can give, he can't give like games that belongs to other companies for free. So he's found a way around it. Just build it in Unreal Engine. You'll get your game for free.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's crazy. There's a horror game in here somebody made. All kinds of horror lighting. Not horror, like horror. I found a horror. Not like that.
Yeah.
But like horror.
What? I understood what you meant, and then you explained it, and I understood it less.
Has anyone ever said the words, I've found a whore?
I found a whore.
I found a whore.
It sounds like a cowboy thing to
say. What you're saying is you didn't mean it in the whore sense.
Yeah, the hooah.
Hooah.
That's
a nice word. We shouldn't be saying.
It's interesting. I'm going to go look at it. It doesn't change my irritation about the name, but whatever. It's probably a good name. I don't think they give a shit. We're a small podcast who talks to the community and does, whatever. They don't care. What do they don't care?
Know we exist, you guys.
Oh, I thought Tim Sweeney was all about the community. It's all about the gamers.
No, not this community.
Oh, not the. He can discriminate then. Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see what it is.
Well, it seems like they're. I mean, there's a lot of effort going into this, so we'll see. I don't know. I think design game experiences are going to trump this kind of stuff, and it won't be that big.
Yeah, I tend to agree. David Jaffe, you know him from such hits as the original God of War games, and I believe he also worked on what was the car shoot 'em up deal? Can't think of the name. PS1.
Twisted Metal.
I think Twisted Metal was a David Jaffe joint. I think
it was.
Anyway, he says there's sources at Sony who are working on what would be a Sony's answer to Game Pass. This neither surprises me nor shocks me because they have to. They kind of have to have an answer to Game Pass. Like Sony's doing fine on hardware sales. They need to get to a place, though, pretty quickly where they can go, oh, hey, you got in early. That's cool. And now there's this service, and it's amazing and as good as the Microsoft or better. And if they don't do that, I already know people who got a PS5 and are now like, I should have gotten that Xbox. Why? Well, because Game Pass gives you all these games, and I'm not going to spend $70 on that game over here, or I'm not going to bet or whatever. And I think they would do really well to do this. I'm all for it. Sony, get in there, get it on, get it.
I
it going.
do. But what does a Sony version of Game Pass look like? Like,
Well-
is it literally going to end up breaking down to, like, here's a bunch of Japanese developers on the Sony Game Pass. Here's a bunch of American developers on the Xbox Game Pass. Because that's sort of how it's almost feeling. Like, I almost made the joke because I don't know if either of you watched the Resident Evil showcase. We're going to talk about it, but I watched it.
Missed it.
Boy, do the Resident Evil team seem to be chummy with Sony in a way that you're like, they gave you money, right? Like, not only did the PS5 get an exclusive demo that didn't go anywhere else, but then they're getting the new demo. You can pre-download it on Sony's platform before anywhere else. Then they did this very like self-congratulatory, hey, Resident Evil, you've been around 25 years. Good job. And it was a whole bunch of interviews with people. And they were all Sony people congratulating them on 25 years. And I was like, is this brought to me by Sony? Because they didn't say Microsoft or Steam or Stadia until the very, very end at the point where they had to.
Yeah.
And it was just a little noticeable and it was a little weird.
Yeah,
So-
I think Sony sponsored that event. I really do. And I also think they kind of have to right now because they need these little wins, these little PR wins. They also threw, by the way, the part of the Epic story, or one of the stories going around this week, is Epic just procured a ton of new investment, and $200 million of that is from Sony.
Yeah.
Like, Sony wants to shore up whatever alliances they can get at the moment because they are behind in this one way. You know, there's nothing wrong with the hardware, although there's still some quirky stuff about them. But they got the same problem Microsoft does and everyone does right now. You can't get chips. You can't get this stuff. There's a chip shortage, production problems, all that. But when that stuff starts to open up, what's your value add? What is the thing that will keep them there and not swapping over or moving over? And Microsoft's got such deep pockets, way more than Sony does in terms of just cash. That's the thing with Microsoft is just, well, should we spend it or not? It's not whether they have it or not. And when they can just turn around and go, yeah, we're buying Bethesda for $7.5 million. Meh, what do you think of that? Meh. I mean, it's a big deal. It's hard to compete with. So you have to do all you can and go, oh, Square Enix, can I rub your testicles for you so you will stay here and never leave our planet? Like, they have to do things like that.
Boy, people are missing a lot on the video version.
Square Enix, can I rub? You did the thing. You did.
Yeah.
You rubbed testicles.
Like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
You rubbed two
Podcast
testicles
audience,
there.
I'm sorry. This was a visual episode. We've had milking cows, milking gorillas, and testicle rubbing all pantomimed
Yeah,
perfectly.
and never
by
those two things shall
Scott.
meet, please. Let's not do that.
But that's the thing is they have to do, they got to jump through these kinds of hoops to get the support that they need. And then this is amid reports of them dropping all their secondary studios, their indie studios, Sony Japan, the Japan studio getting dropped. The guys who made the upcoming PC release Days Gone, those guys are leaving, even though they were supposed to do a sequel. They're not leaving. They're being shoved over to work on the remake of Last of Us 1, which I guess is happening.
Actually, I think it is different, but I heard that too. So
Yeah.
it might be that. It might be. I also heard they were working on some multiplayer modes for potentially a new Uncharted and like all sorts of weird stuff happening with them. But yes, instead of making their own game, they are supporting somebody else making.
Which a lot of people were pissed out
making
because the original idea was that this developer needed a showcase. Like they're talking about the Ghost of Tsushima is in a similar precarious position despite how well it sold, you know, whether or not that thing sees sequel treatment. Like there's a lot of questions around a lot of that. So they got that going on. Someone else mentioned in the chat, the Wraith says Kojima might be working with Microsoft on his next project. That was a rumor floating around. If that's true, that's a big get because it just sort of smacks Sony in the face and says, you had him last time, but not this time. Yeah. Like there's just a lot of that.
It's a game about more than delivering packages.
But that's one of those weird things that the get for Microsoft would just be about the get. Like the game's gonna be, what it is, like weird. Like you're not making that deal thinking we're gonna have a great game on our hands. We're like Kojima's gonna make some shit, but it makes us look good. That's great.
Yeah, that's all you get him for.
Look, I don't want to go too harsh on Kojima because I do love the Metal Gear Solid series, but I could not get excited about Death Stranding. I tried very hard to get excited about Death Stranding.
It looked cool, but when I heard it was delivering packages, I mean, I just can't pull the trigger to buy or try it. I just don't even want to bother,
I saw enough footage of the dude from Walking Dead carrying just a mountain of stuff on his back, bumping into a rock and it scattering everywhere for me to go, nope.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
I'm good. I really don't want to do this.
I don't even mind delivery quests in games, but I don't want the possibility for my package to go flying off the side of whatever I'm riding or driving or walking. Like, F that. And go pick it all up? What do you care? I don't care if those are the most beautiful backgrounds in the world. I don't want to do that. That sounds like a bad video game to me. Now, someone's going to write in and go, you guys, it was the greatest game ever made, and you didn't know. And I'll say, no, it wasn't, because I dropped all my shit everywhere. I'm not interested in that game. Yeah. I can't do it.
I'll just say it might be. That. You might be right. I didn't play it because the game wasn't good enough to sell me on playing it.
Yeah. Fair point.
That's the problem.
Do you own it?
I didn't take the plunge.
Did you buy it? No? Yeah. I didn't either.
Because you know why, Scott? Because it was a game about carrying a bunch of boxes on your back.
I mean, would you? Okay, if it hits Games Pass, I'll play it just to see. But see, that's the other cool thing about Game Pass. I don't want to pay
money for it.
That's the other cool thing about Game Pass. There's all sorts of things that show up there, and I'm just like, oh, I'll give that a swing. Like, I don't care. It's just on here.
I like the energy it channeled. And let's not forget that games can be about dumb things, right? Like there's a game called Overcooked where you try to badly make food. Like the fact that you're delivering packages and it's weird, it's not necessarily make it a bad game. It doesn't have to be a violent fighting kind of game.
Yeah.
It's just there's something about it that just didn't it's just not uninteresting. Like I can't even knock it for that reason, actually, John, when I think about it. There are great games that don't the Stardew Valley, like, you're just walking around doing stuff. There's just something aesthetically, for whatever reason, unappealing. Both appealing and
Norman
unappealing.
Reedus, wasn't it? You just
it was
totally turned off.
That stuff looked cool. It had like an epic story. It's telling this tale.
Yeah.
It just there's no sizzle on what they were telling, and then there's no reports of people going like, "Oh man, I delivered packages. You'll never believe what happened. It's so much fun. I did it till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like I'm not seeing that kind of energy out there in conversations about it. So
there was too many news stories about how Monster Energy was really important and we were going to give packages to Jeff Keighley, and there were too many news stories like that and not enough news stories about here's why you're going to enjoy this delivery game. Like, yes, we know we've built a game around a mechanic that most people find unfun in video games. Here's why you're gonna like it. That's maybe where the energy should have gone into, instead of Monster Energy and giving Jeff Keighley a package because he's Kojima's buddy.
To be fair, they showed us a ladder and they showed him peeing. Those were interesting.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't buy it now that you say that. It's a shock to me that I didn't. You know who loves this game is Brian Dunaway. Loved playing that game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're all wrong. Maybe that game is like, once the hype dies down, a few years goes by, it'll be like just a treasure.
Yeah,
you'll just load up Death Stranding and be like, well, what is going on? It's crazy that I didn't play this.
Andy in the chat says, Scott, what if you're delivering packages in the Mad Max universe? That exists. It's called Mad Max. It came out in 2015. I don't mean the movie. I mean the game. It's a fantastic open world game, which I beat last year, finally beat, and love that game. And I'll deliver packages in that world all day, every day. It's not package delivery. For me, it's not even that Norman Reedus has to go somewhere far to get information to somebody. At the end of the day, all video games are some form of transitioning something to something else and having numbers go up. My problem is I don't want to walk with a big giant thing that's barely hanging on, and I don't even know if this ladder's going to fall apart, and I don't want to die constantly, lose my shit all the time. That's not fun. Forget it.
I'm willing to find out, but the price for finding out is free.
That's the main thing. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's got to be, or sub $10.
Yeah, you give me an $8.99, I'll buy it for that.
Speaking of, Mad Max was like $4 on one of the stores the other day.
I know.
I
That's
saw it and
always
I
on
thought
sale.
of you. I was like, wow.
It always goes on sale. That game looks better than its age. It looks like a game made today. It's awesome. It was underappreciated because it was true to the mythos. It was like dark and dreary and deserty, which John might not love, but very much like, yeah, this is the apocalypse and you're in it and it's gnarly and not a lot of humor. You know, it's not meant to be. That was the point of that game. That game is so underrated. I love that.
It's been
freaking
$5
game.
forever. I think I bought it like 4 years ago. I still haven't cracked it, and it was
Love
for
that game.
$5 then. Like,
Love that game.
Yeah.
Played the shit out of it. And Liam's in it, which is always a plus. It's always a bonus. He plays a guy named Gut Gash.
Gash.
Gut Gash.
Do you do any milking in that game?
None.
Okay.
There are some.
Say that because there is milking in the Fury Road at the very least. Like, it's relevant.
Yeah, it's true. There's
Yeah,
a lot.
that's true. But I don't want to milk those particular cows. If you know
Why
what I'm
not?
saying. I don't know.
Let me put you in the hot seat. Why,
Why
Scott?
not? I can't
Do you have
imagine.
preferences when it comes to? Okay, let's make it.
We'll move on. So this
Let's
Resident
move
Evil
on.
showcase, I'm very curious about this. We got a new trailer, the demo coming, the Mercenaries mode details a little bit. We got a trailer for the CG Netflix show, which I did watch that today, and I couldn't be more excited about that thing. Like,
Yeah.
totally
Looks neat.
stoked because it looks. I mean, it's Leon S. Kennedy. It's freaking what's her name,
Claire.
Claire Redfield. Who knows who else in the pantheon of characters that we know from all these old games, but it also looks like a cutscene from the game. And I'm fine with that. Like, I actually like that. And I am all in on this. There are zombies in the White House. Stupid story they're going to tell. I can't wait for that.
Yep. I'm excited about it. It takes place with the best Resident Evil characters, the cool ones, not the one that punches boulders, and it takes place after Resident Evil 4, and is going to follow up on that. They already name dropped Ashley Graham, who was also from 4, and the President, and it's zombies in the White House. Seems great.
Wow. They should have an email on a screen just randomly pop up from somebody named Ethan, just as a fun little forward moment where one day there'll be a guy named Ethan in the
Ethan
universe.
Winters. I don't like Ethan Winters. I'm going to say that Chris is the right person for Ethan to hang out with because they're both lame Resident Evil protagonists.
How
The
can
two
you not
lames
like
can
Chris?
hang out
You
together.
don't like Chris Redfield? Come on.
I think Chris Redfield sucks. I like every Resident Evil character more than Chris Redfield.
Wow.
Because I played Resident Evil 5 and I saw the scene where Chris needs to get past the giant boulder and is like, I know what to do. I'm going to punch the shit out of it and just starts punching a rock. I think Chris is stupid. I don't like him.
Okay, then let me ask you this question. I
Okay.
think I'm not going to go totally to bat for him, but if you were Barry and you were in RE1 in the mansion and you came upon a big puddle of blood, would you have said, "I hope this is Chris's blood," or
No,
isn't?
yeah,
Okay.
I still think that line's better. I sure hope this isn't Chris's blood.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair
Yeah,
enough.
the
Still
pauses are important.
I mean, Barry,
Barry
is.
is way better than Chris.
I love Barry so much. Can Barry?
Jill.
Yeah.
Barry.
Is better than Chris.
Yeah.
Jill,
Yeah. We know them. How about this?
you were almost a Jill sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah. Wesker.
I'd play a whole
Wesker.
game with
How
that
do you
guy.
feel about Wesker? Where's Wesker in your list?
Wesker's great. He died in that volcano where Chris was punching rocks. He melted in a volcano.
Wesker never fully dies, though. He'll be back.
No, he died in that one.
Did he?
He got rockets shot into him, and then he melted in a volcano. I saw it.
Well, real quick, someone in the chat said, "Did I ever finish 7?" Oh, hell yeah, I finished 7. I saw what Grandma turned into. I didn't play the DLC with Chris Redfield, but I beat 7. I beat 7. I
Oh.
beat 2.
The only problem with Ethan Winters is this simple question: what does Ethan look like, Scott?
There is no face because there's no third-person thing in that game. So.
Exactly. Nobody
Yeah.
knows what he looks like. He's just Ethan Winters. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, which character do you like? I like Ethan. He's a stapled together hand. That's everything I know about Ethan.
Yep.
He's got a hand that is held together by staples.
Yeah. See, there you go. I beat
Staple
2.
hands.
I beat 2 remake. Even though John says I didn't
No.
play the other disc, it doesn't matter.
50% beat.
I saw
2
credits. All right, I saw credits. Oh, you mean I didn't replay that game with a couple of changes? That's what you mean.
No,
Oh.
you didn't play the second scenario, other half of the game.
Which is the whole same game again.
No, it is not. You go to different places. You're a different character. There's different weapons. There's different cutscenes, different bosses, and a different end boss to the game. That's completely different.
All I know is I saw credits. And then 3, I beat 3 with John. He watched me do that. And 7 I've beat every one of those that I've set out to beat. Except 2, I guess you have an argument there, but I'll never cop to it exactly. All right. Anyway, that's happening, and I'm excited. I want to try that demo. Definitely give that a shot. Resident Evil's teaming up with Dead by Daylight, which is that cool multiplayer asynchronous, or it's not asynchronous. What do you call it? One bad guy, five.
Maybe it isn't.
Sir, I forget what you call that. What do you call that? There's a word for that, right?
What's
Yeah,
that?
where it's like there's 4 people on one team and 1 person on the other.
Is that? It's not asynchronous. That's something
Not
else.
asynchronous, asymmetrical.
Asymmetric.
Asymmetrical. That's it.
Yeah, that game is cool, and it's on everything. And I don't know why we have never all just gotten together to play like on PC or something. It seems like something we would.
Well, I will want to now that Resident Evil's in there. I got to learn to play that game.
Yeah.
I don't know what the monster's going to be, because in theory there's going to be a killer. I would hope Mr. X.
Oh, it'll be someone like that, because they're all big, gnarly, horrible creature types. And sometimes they're Jason, but Jason's huge. Not Jason, because they have their own game. Like Freddy. Even Freddy's bigger in that game than he's supposed to be compared to the campers. So yeah,
I want Mr. X, and then they'll probably give you some survivors, maybe Leon. That'd be great, because then I'd have a survivor I'd want to play.
Yeah, then you'd want to. Then what if it was all Chris Redfields, just different colors?
Oh man, I wouldn't play as Chris, that's for sure. I'd rather play as generic, made up character for the game than Chris.
Yeah. Oh, Lyle Schnub says that game's Dead by Daylight. It's currently on Game Pass, PC and console, so we could play it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then also Resident Evil 4 coming in VR. So, nope, we'll not be doing that. And
that one wasn't that scary though. That one was just
everything's
more
scarier in
fun
VR
action.
though. VR's scary no matter what you do. Doesn't matter the game. It's scary to play. Like I don't know if you saw this. There's a mod for that Half-Life Alyx thing coming out that will let you play just like a normal game, no VR needed.
Oh really?
I'm interested in that for a lot of reasons, but number one among them is it doesn't freak me out as bad. I don't want to get freaked out. I just want to play it. I want to play,
Head crabs are scary, legitimately.
Yeah, they are.
Scary.
Even in the old game they were, but I can deal with that. It's just this first person VR, I can't do it. I freaking can't do it. All right, what else? Oh, rumors. We talked about this Last of Us remake. That's a weird rumor.
Here's the funny thing about it is you hear it and you go, well, that's ridiculous. That's way too early to do a remake. But I will admit that when I was playing Last of Us Part 2, I found myself multiple times thinking, man, I wish the original Last of Us played like this.
Yeah.
And apparently that's what the goal is. Like, the goal isn't let's completely redo it, ground up, changing everything. It's let's give it an even prettier coat of paint, and let's bring the gameplay and modes and all of that to match what Last of Us Part 2 was.
So it's a little bit like...
So it's remastering and not remaking. Like the word
Yeah.
remake is like, when I think remake, I think Final Fantasy VII. Like
Right.
you're making a new game. You're remaking it.
But if you make it... they're doing more like the Mass Effect idea of getting Mass Effect 1 in line with the gameplay of 2 and 3.
That's what it sounds like when I read it. And that doesn't seem as bad. But the headline of they're remaking it, you're like, why? That game just came out and by all accounts is fine.
Yeah.
So
I think it
we'll see if
implies
it even
higher
happens.
effort than is actually going to happen. I'm sure it'll be great, but yeah.
Could be. Yeah. I'm curious about what that means, because if you told me that was getting quote unquote remade or brought in line with the way that the newer game plays, with all those options John used to tell me about and everything, like if they do that, but they make it one big master game, like collection of 1 and 2 in that form, I'll play that game.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
play
very
that game.
appealing.
Yeah. I mean, I won't play it on my PlayStation 4 because that seems dumb. Maybe I will. I don't know. I have a hard time playing old consoles when there's new ones.
It'll
out.
be out on the PS5.
Yeah, but I don't have that
It'll
either.
be fine.
Put it out on Xbox. Put it on Game Pass.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna do that.
I mean, they're doing it with the show. Why not? Go ahead and give us that too. Why not? Okay. That's still coming, right? Oh yeah, 420. I'm actually excited about baseball. I'm going to play that game. What else? Oh, Game Pass gets Alexa. Cancel. Sorry. Set my thing on. They're getting A support. I'll call it Amazon Echo support for remote downloading. That's pretty cool. I already use the app a lot. I don't know if you guys have used, or John, if you've used the app with your Series X yet, but it's great for like hop in there and go, oh, that happened today. For example, I was trying to get Octopath Traveler. I wanted to see what that was about finally. Turns out it's a very grindy JRPG and I don't like it. But anyway, whatever. On the app, I see, oh, it's there. I go click it. I hit install and I put my phone down. And that console's not even on in there, but it's in like that low power mode where overnight or however long it needs, it will download these things for me. And when I hop back in, it's like, oh, there it is. It's great.
Yep.
There, it's sitting right there.
Ready
Let's
to
play
go.
it. So telling my Echo to do certain things would be cool, I guess. It's less visual, but yeah, I'd be all right with that.
More convenient way to have everything ready for you, you know.
Yeah, in a way, it's like they're saying, well, we used to have Kinect, and Kinect was all about, it wasn't just movement stuff. It was also voice activated stuff. So now they're basically saying, yeah, I guess the Echo's our new Kinect kind of in a weird way. So I could probably say to it, once this gets integrated, I could say, a word, turn on my Xbox and it'll do it. Or, I don't know, turn off my Xbox or whatever. I don't know. I am excited about it. 420 chat room. I truly am. All right. So there's that. Blizzard also added 2 new games to the Blizzard Arcade collection. If you didn't think it was enough for what they put in there, you can also now get Lost Vikings 2, which is probably the biggest update to this. That's a much bigger game than the original. And didn't Lost Vikings 2 add more Vikings, but we still don't have those in Heroes. There was originally 5 Vikings.
Oh,
Is that
really?
true? Really?
I thought so.
that.
Didn't I have that? Oh, okay. It says right here.
I thought it was always just the
2 new
3
games,
Vikings.
2 new features. Hang on, let me see.
Okay, biggest addition
Lost
to today's
Viking.
update, giving players another adventure to tackle with Eric, Balog, and Olaf as they combine their abilities to solve puzzles and work their way through challenges. Lost Vikings 2 is built on the original structure and added 2 companions to the mix. Oh, Fang the Werewolf and Scorch the Dragon. Okay, they were just like helpers. Never mind. I knew there was something new or something there, but I couldn't remember what. That and RPM Racing. So check that. That's a precursor to Rock and Roll, so it's actually kind of a weird prequel kind of game. But yeah, I guess that's cool if
to
you're
see.
tracking that.
Are they charging for it now? Or because I got it with the Blizzard, BlizzCon thing.
Right.
Is that something you can still buy? I don't even know. I didn't even think that it has a cost.
It does.
It is a product you can buy. This these 2 games being added is for free.
Yeah, the updates have been free.
Adds value to it. That's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so if you were following that and you wanted more, good news. It happened. Okay. I love this headline. This week in Naughty Dog isn't making. They're not making a new Jak and Daxter. So here's your list of what they're not making: a fantasy game and a new Jak and Daxter. And Daxter, yeah.
I just wanted to bring this up because it is the weirdest trend that I have found as I pull news stories for this show, is that it feels like every couple of months some game journalist site has something to say about what Naughty Dog isn't making. Not what they are making, what they aren't making.
Yeah.
And this week it was Game Informer letting everybody know that they're not making a new Jak and Daxter. So we've already ruled out that they're not making a fantasy game, and now we can add to the list they're not making a new Jak and Daxter. So the next time somebody decides to report what Naughty Dog isn't making, we'll be there to remind you the quality products that Naughty Dog is not going to be making next.
Yep. They're not making, they physically, they themselves will not make a new, what was the name of that? It's a stupid Crash Bandicoot game, which was originally theirs. There are new Crash Bandicoot games, but it's not them making it. So you can take that off your list too. And then the other thing I'm guessing they're never going to make again is a new, what was that fighting game they made on the 3DO? Hold on. 3DO
Oh,
fighting
I know
game.
what one you're talking about. Yeah.
This is back when they were like 2 people and nobody.
And 3DO, that's going way back.
What was that called? Not Supreme Warrior. Way of the Warrior. That's it.
Oh.
Way of the Warrior. Naughty Dog.
Probably not. Probably a safe bet they don't want to shine too much light that was a game they made.
That's back when it was Andy Gavin and Jason Rubin. That's the whole company back then. And they made basically a Mortal Kombat kind of game. And it was bad. Anyway. So you can assume that's on that list. But I like this, John. It's a running list of what we can expect from Naughty Dog not doing.
Yep.
I do think we're ripe for some kind of new generation Nathan Drake business. I'll bet you that's coming.
Yeah, you think it's going to be Uncharted? They're going to go back to that well?
I do.
I mean, we're about to get a movie with Tom Holland,
Yeah.
so maybe they'd go and they'd make a young Nathan Drake game or something to that effect.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be a good tie-in, although I don't think they'd do it just for that, but it might, things could collide and that would work out well for them. We shall see. The important thing now is we have a Dear Martha Steam review.
Oh.
Yeah. This is a good one, and it's funny it's about an MMO because we have a lot to say about MMOs today in our gameplay segment, so get ready for that. But in the meantime, we present to you this Dear Martha Steam review from John.
My dearest Martha, today I present to you my review of Star Wars: The Old Republic. This game is a mirror image of the movie's decline in quality. It starts out strong with fun and interesting stories. The writing gets cheap, woke, and corny as soon as you reach the expansions.
Woke?
For example, for the first 100 hours, you play a badass Sith Lord who is feared and hated by all he meets. He ruthlessly murders his way up the hierarchy for a position of supreme power. Then suddenly new riders take over and he's forced to hang out with NPCs who shame him for his dark side choices, scolding him like a naughty child. When I first witnessed this, I was thinking, ha! I'm gonna force choke you idiots for talking to me like that. And to my dismay, I had to watch my formerly badass Sith Lord accept the rebuke in reverent silence. It was totally out of character. But not for long, because the new writers completely transformed my character into that passive, neutered, politically correct version of a villain who needs to be ashamed of himself. Screw this game. Yours, in this life and the next, Will.
Wow. That guy he had stuff to say. Oh my gosh, that was terrible. Oops, I don't know why that played, sorry. That was awesome. All right, well done as always. We love the Dear Martha Steam reviews. If you want to hear more, you have to listen to the show. All right, here's this. Let's talk about the games we played this week, and it got real weird for me this week. So as you know, as of last week, I was very heavily into Final Fantasy XIV, and I kind of thought that's how it would just remain all week. And something happened. Something clicked with me, and I don't know what it was, but something happened while I kind of know what it was. So I'm tooling along doing stuff, and there was a bunch of quests dealing with this dragon lady, and I forgot her name, but there was a big cutscene with this dragon lady at the relatively early parts of Heavensward, and the dragon designs in that game are they're very Asian style. Like what I mean by that is, like if you go to Chinatown, you see during Chinese New Year or something, one of those big long dragons that got like 12 people in them and they're just kind of swooping around the streets. The Asian style of dragon with the kind of curly mustache bits and the, just a very different style than say Western or England based kind of dragon lore. It's all kind of like that. And this girl dragon comes landing down to find out what's going on. Kaboosh. And she's supposed to look badass. But to me, She looked like a weird dog. I just didn't like it. And I remember thinking, this is where it gets weird, okay? And I will admit, this is a Scott thing, and I prescribe none of this for anyone. But she plops down, and she's telling her story and getting me to do whatever. I'm like, man, that's a bad dragon. And then my head went, where have I seen some other dragons that I like better than this? And I thought, Warcraft dragons are okay. They're a little cartoony, though, so they're not really. And plus, I'm kind of, I've hit a wall with WoW, so I don't really want to go watch them there. Where do I like dragons? Oh, you know what dragons I like? The dragons that were in that Elsewhere expansion for Elder Scrolls Online. Those were cool dragons. Where's my account anyway? Wait, what's going on? What have I done in there lately? Oh, it's still installed. Have I seen this like Oblivion content they're doing for their next big chapter expansion thing? No, I haven't checked that yet. You know what? I'll just pop in there for a minute and see what's up. And this all came from this goofball dragon design, made me go, I should just hop over there for a minute. I was just going to go for a minute because that game doesn't have a sub unless you want to pay for some perks. And I thought I would just get in there and get out of there. The opposite happened. I got so engrossed in ESO again. And it's part of the problem is this. And John, I don't know if this is going to be easy to understand or not, but it isn't just the dragons. When I started talking to any NPCs in that game, and everybody in that game is voiced, all right? Lots of Liam O'Brien, by the way. Tons of them. But everybody has a voice. Even the dumbest, low-level, small quests that are side quests, nothing to do with main storylines or any of that. Even those have like professional VO'd everything in them. They don't have anything where you're just clicking through text. It just doesn't exist in this game. And they're so good that they acted as like a weird comparison to what I had just been playing, which is terrible VO and lots of clicking through text. And it's fine. Yes, Final Fantasy XIV is an amazing game. Don't get me wrong. But it's just this crazy contrast when I saw them, plus the just sort of dark fantasy vibe and the stuff I love about that. Dungeons feel like you're in Diablo. Like it's just this darker, grittier, more my style sort of thing, generally speaking. And as a result, I just was, I'll just do this quest. Oh my gosh, that was great. Where does this lead? Oh, that's a branching quest. I can go talk to that lady now and do what? No way. That's cool. I even had a quest where somebody was dying and they were poisoned or something. And the guy who was with her said, this is all sad and everything, but the reason we came out here was to see these flowers. They only bloom this certain time of year in this certain part of Tamriel. And now she's not going to be able to see these. So I was wondering if you might go around and plant what she brought with us. And it turns out there are these magic seeds. So I went around and planted them, and these blue glowy things would grow, and this haunting voiceover of their lives that they spent together and how sad it will be without her being there. Like I got emotionally involved in a freaking side quest that has nothing to do with the main story in this game. And just aesthetically, that game is so cool that I was just like constantly going, oh yeah, right, I love that. Oh yeah, I really like this part too. Oh, I forgot I had that mount. I'm going to ride on that guy for the rest of today. Oh, don't worry, Final Fantasy, I'll be back. But then I wouldn't be back. I just kind of kept cranking and going and going and going to the point that I got completely immersed again. And now I'm like doing content I haven't seen before. I respect my my mage type character based on a build I found that turned out to be really fun. I'm just decimating stuff and just feels good. I don't know what happened. I'm all back in on it.
Here's where I can understand, because I disagree with you, but I can understand because I feel exactly the opposite. Every time I have tried Elder Scrolls Online, I go, oh yeah, this is Elder Scrolls Fantasy. I hate how this looks.
Really?
Like I genuinely think the art style and look to Elder Scrolls Fantasy is the biggest, like, thank God those games are fun, because I hate how everything looks in those games.
And you mean like Skyrim, all of them? You mean all of it? You just don't like that style?
I've never, like, there's stuff that I've thought, there's cool stuff in that game. Like Morrowind definitely has a lot of that with the big mushroom plants and stuff like that. And there's cool stuff in there, but it feels like the style that they have decided for Elder Scrolls is always the most basic generic fantasy equivalent of what it can be.
Yeah.
Castles will look like if you asked a kid to draw a castle and then you did a beautiful rendering of that, not that it looks childish, but like it is literally just cut and paste what you think a castle looks like.
Yeah.
Same thing with armor. Leather armor looks like a bunch of leather straps and generic ass leather armor. There's no art to it. I will say that Elder Scrolls Online has done a better job of adding a little character to it.
Yeah.
Because when I make my character, I'm like, okay, it looks like they're actually trying. But so much of like even in Skyrim, which is one of my favorite games ever made, everything about it just feels like the boilerplate generic, like, yep, check that box for fantasy content. Like it looks like, it kind of looks like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, I would say, is guilty of this too, which is, you know, you're going to have to film a lot of it, so you don't go too wild or crazy, because you can just, you know, you can just grab stuff and just use what already exists, because it's like, yeah, well, you know, or going to a Renaissance festival where you're like, it's like going back in time, and then you just see a lot of generic looking Ren Fair stuff, and you're like, yeah, okay. I feel that same way. And like when I'm in Final Fantasy, it's like, here's these elaborate armors, and here's the, like, everything's very ornate. And going into that city for Heavensward, which I will get to when I talk about it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like if you took the idea behind the White City from Lord of the Rings, where that last movie took place, except made it look cool instead of generic. Like it looks.
No, I agree. That
so
does
cool.
look really cool
this
in
big
there.
Spire.
Yeah, that city's
from,
awesome. The biggest complaint I have about that city is there's like 3 people there, which there was. I wish it felt more like a city and not an abandoned parking lot.
Yeah, it does feel pretty empty. It's also really confusing. I get lost in that city all the time.
Yeah,
there's like 3 layers to that one zone, and the way to get up a layer is to like go to the edge and then run your way back in. But anyway, so basically what I'm saying is I get it. I just feel the opposite. I think aesthetically speaking, what speaks to you about Elder Scrolls is what Final Fantasy speaks to me. Because I got to that dragon cutscene you're talking about. I can see where it's coming from, but I didn't see that dragon and go, what a stupid dragon. I was like, oh, cool dragon. Like it just didn't register to me that, like, you know, oh, this is a dog or anything like that. I mean, you spend the early parts of that quest walking around with a dragoon who has the coolest looking armor of all time, just chilling with you.
He's a bit of a dandy,
he looks
though.
Awesome.
He's a bit of a dandy.
What?
He's fine.
He's great.
He's fine.
He's great.
He stands there looking weird.
My gosh.
The dragoon guy's cool. Don't get me wrong. See, here's the thing. This isn't me. None of this is a negative. Like, all of it is great. I am stoked. And in the chat room, no need for any of you to get defensive about your game, because there's no reason to. The game's great, and I'll be back in there. It's not a problem. This is more about me, and if you want to call it AED, you can, or you can call it, I don't know what it is, but the darker, grittier fantasy aesthetic of ESO is much more my jam. And same goes for books and comics or anything that deals with fantasy. I don't like the bright anime stuff as much. And so what happened is, that thing just acted as this weird catalyst of like, that's a weird dragon with stubby legs. It's like half dog, half freaking chicken. Like, what is this? That's a weird. It wasn't like me going, that's it. That's right. That's it, game. You've screwed me over one last time. This dragon's the last straw. It wasn't like that. Like, not at all. I don't have a bad thing to say about FF14, just like last week. In fact, I have nothing but good things to say, and I still really admire the community over there. That's something that's just consistently been amazing. But I think what happened is I just got pulled back to what I resonate with the most. Not even on purpose. It just happened. And I love that. Like, I love that world, that feeling of that world. I like how gritty and dirty everything is. I don't know. I can't really explain it. And I have seen some sights, man. Like, there's stuff in that game where, yeah, you could say, well, walking into that cave with that giant dragon statue is cool, but it's also cool a million times over in a million other kinds of fantasy. I guess you could make that argument, but there have been some times in there where I'm like, holy shit, what did I just walk into? This cathedral full of stuff. Like, I don't know if that's just because some of their newer stuff is a little more, crazy or what, but it just grabbed me, and it hasn't let go since. I've played a ton. Just whole shit ton.
I think it makes sense, though. Like, for your aesthetic, I think because we do. We both like fantasy.
Yeah.
I like to live in a fantasy world where they probably have proper plumbing, and it's just in a bathroom somewhere and you don't see it. You know, my character in D&D is a prestidigitation master. You want to live in the fantasy world where people shit in the bucket and throw it out the window.
Yeah,
and you want
I
to
do.
know that they're doing it.
I do. You know what? You just nailed it. You just nailed it what it is. It's kind of why I love Waterworld and Mad Max and all that. I love that apocalyptic take where things are hard and rough and in my fantasy. And I don't know why. I don't know why that's true of me because I'm not really that kind of person in real life. I don't want that for real life. I want it for fake life. So if you sat down with me and said, what do you want to watch? Something with cool, beautiful cities and da-ba-da-ba-da? Or do you want to watch Book of Eli again? I'd say Book of Eli again. Because I want to see, I don't know why I'm drawn to that. But in this particular case, like this is even a more optimistic world than most of Elder Scrolls because this is 300 years before Skyrim, Oblivion, all that time. So it's when there was a much more cohesive sort of the different races were running their countries better, and there was some weird dark magic shit happening, but we weren't kind of in the toilet quite yet. So there's a brightness to it in some ways. But man, just a beautiful game. Everyone talks. The VO in that game is just like the best ever. I'm riding around on a giant muscular cat that I got in the Elsewhere expansion for finishing a storyline. And the dragons are badass. I don't know what it is. Yes, it is kind of Game of Thrones. It is a little Lord of the Rings. It is that side of the spectrum. And for whatever reason, it draws me. And I'll get back. Don't worry. I will be back to Final Fantasy 14 if freaking paid for it. I'll go back there. It's just, this just had this moment of like, get in here, kind of like Scorpion got me with his chain and pulled me in. But this is not throwing shade on anything, just for people at home. I don't want your emails about how wrong I am or whatever. This is just purely a weird Scott moment that I can't explain. It just happened the way it happened. Oh, my wife just showed up with food. Thank you, dear. I don't even know what to say.
Ooh, that's nice. Lovely.
Oh my gosh, dropped the fork.
Yeah, that was shocking. You reached off screen. When you came back, you had a plate of amazing looking food.
This is
Wow.
like Star Trek. Just pull it out of the replicator over there and
Yeah.
there you go. Anyway, that's my take on that. For whatever it's worth, the funny thing is I played a bunch of both because I was playing nonstop Final Fantasy, and then that just one moment where I went "Brrr," and I haven't been able to get out of there since. And so I made it's just my life right now. I have a weird thing going on in my head with games. All right, what else? Oh, and I dusted off, Red Faction Guerrilla. You heard of that?
I love Red Faction Guerrilla.
One of my favorite games of all time. 360 game. It's in my top 3 of the whole run. I loved it. I love that game. PS3, I think I had it on though. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Red Faction Guerrilla, one of the great open world and awesome sort of Mars set things. Best Red Faction game, period. That's before Volition went full blown into I keep forgetting the name of the open world game. It's like GTA, but not
The Saints Row.
Saints Row.
Saints Row.
It's where they started pushing Saints Row
We've
full
talked
time.
about that one a lot.
Yep, and they got completely away from Red Faction after Armageddon, which was, I guess, the last one they did. But Guerrilla is a little more sparse and dirty and again, graphically not amazing, but they have that remastered version, and I bought it on Steam a while ago and then didn't do much just because I just wanted to have it. Decided to fire that up, and that game is awesome. I'm playing through it again. It's really good. I love it. It's so good.
That story to me is still like, I don't know how you get a sequel as wrong as they did. With
Armageddon,
Guerrilla.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
how do you end up there? Like a game where everybody's like, oh my gosh, destroying stuff in this game is so fun. The best destruction ever. You can destroy anything. I loved breaking things, and like that's what every review about that game said. And they went, for the sequel, you're going to be putting things together.
Yeah, you're barely going to break anything. Yeah, the
Because
sequel's a
we're
bummer.
about repairing now. This is not what was fun.
The
You
sequel
lost it.
the sequel's a pretty good linear story game, but it's not fun in the way Guerrilla was. Guerrilla had like you just said, the destruction was everything in that game. It was so good, blowing stuff up, planting mines, using that hammer even on the most basic level, shooting dudes in between things. It's actually hard. Like even on the easy settings, that game is you gotta keep your wits about you. It's on Mars, for hell's sakes. It's just great. So I've been playing that again. It's the kind of game I wish there was a proper sequel to. And, like this is in 4K with some new bump mapping and some decent upgrades visually, but it's still you can still tell it's an old game. I'd love to see a modern treatment on this thing. Oh my gosh, I'd lose my mind, especially given like what we can do with destruction now compared to then. Like you could
make a really nice game, I think, with this.
Guerrilla 2, make it happen. Volition, you Saints Row loving a-holes. All right, John, you also played. Oh, anything else you want to say about Final Fantasy here?
I do. I want to talk about Final Fantasy.
Okay, go. What do you got?
So I took the plunge. People are going to be disappointed to hear this, but I think I'll win them back. I decided to buy a story skip and skip to Heaven's Ward. I hit a point in the going through the main story bit of that quest where they wanted me to go do harder versions of fights that I had already done. They wanted me to go through a whole bunch of dungeons before I could progress the main story further. And I finally said, nope, skipping it. And I bought the story skip. But I had a bunch of people reach out to me after last episode where I had talked about considering it. And they said, John, please watch the cutscenes. And I thought, how good can these cutscenes be? This story has been nothing but we're moving our base. We're not moving our base. Problems with refugees. But I got to say, those people weren't kidding. That story ramps up at the end. I went through and watched all the cutscenes. I listened to I read the context of what was happening with the story, and holy shit. Turns out that like lull in the game that happens right between the main game and the expansion is like Game of Thrones level betrayals and twists and turns, and it turns everything on its head. And it really is something unique because I think we're so used to, with all of us having been WoW players, like your main story happens in the raids and then you go about your life and then maybe there's a little event that's like, oh, new bad guys showed up. And like, that's the tease for the next expansion.
Yeah.
In this, some slight spoilers here, folks, but I think it's worth finding out. You're doing a bunch of missions and stuff, and it just seems like filler for the most part. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one of the main leaders of one of the 3 cities gets murdered. You get framed for it. They label your entire group, which have been heroes up to this point in the story, as outlaws. They arrest or kill every single one of them. The other leader gets his arm chopped off in a battle where he cuts one of Scott's little potato people in half.
Hate those
like
people.
It gets super bloody over the course of one dinner, and you go from like champion of the realm to betrayed by your own people, on the run, wanted for the murder of the Sultana. And like, I just sit there because I'm just watching it in an inn. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, yep, more refugee business. I understand. Yep, we're heroes. Yep, we're putting together. Yeah, okay, good. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, everybody's dead and everybody's betrayed everybody. And you basically go into the Heaven's Word content. You go there with the only 2 remaining allies you have left for the most part. There's a few others left, but generally speaking, everybody who helped you or got you by is either arrested or dead at that point in the game. And I was like, geez, they really scorched the earth before they went into this expansion.
And that's why there's just the 3 of you walking around. I mean, there's literally everyone else has been killed, right?
Yep. Or arrested.
Right.
And...
Oh, right, because what's his name? The guy that used to carry the chick on his arm, he's like arrested somewhere with his arm cut off or whatever.
Yeah, they chopped his arm off. He basically, he was there, and this merchant, the shitty merchant, who, again, he's in the filler quest, you see him, and he's being shitty, but you don't think he's ever going to become like a major villain because he's just like, yeah, the money. And you're just, okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But then he pulls this like kind of coup attempt, and the big arm dude, General Raubon, sees through it, and in the middle of this dinner cuts that merchant in half. And then you're basically the leader of the Crystal Braves, this group that you put together. Turns out he's a traitor, gets in a big fight with him and chops his arm off too.
Wow.
There's also an amazing cutscene, Scott, which I think you should look up, where that guy literally roars like a tiger. He gets so mad that he just roars completely like a tiger, not like a man roaring like a tiger. A tiger sound comes out of his mouth because he's that angry.
How do you find?
And,
is there a way to find that without too much digging? I want to find that.
Yeah, I'll. Well, not for the show, but I
Okay.
can find it between shows.
Okay.
Because yeah, you basically have to go to the inn and watch a cutscene and all that. But
Okay.
it's cool. Like all of a sudden I got it, and all those people that told me like, "Hey, stick with it, some cool stuff happens." You're right. But I am now in Heaven's Ward, which I'm now going to keep playing through. I might not talk about Final Fantasy 14 week to week. I'm enjoying it. I'm really having a good time in there. I see why that content's good, but I don't think we need to do a weekly check-in where I'm like, "Yep, still think it's a good game." But I will say one thing that's extremely jarring.
Yeah.
They changed all the voice actors between
yeah.
that content and going into Heaven's Ward. And all of a sudden I was like,
weird.
what happened? And not in a way of like, these new people are doing their best impression of what came before. They don't care. They were like, "Oh, am I doing a new part?" They might as well have just said yes. They sound completely different and not even like they're trying to do the same voice.
It's
and
jarring. It's a little
it's
jarring. Yeah, even with my skip where I didn't see a lot of the end time stuff, it was still like, oh, that's that guy who I always think isn't a guy. But anyway, whatever. He sounds totally different. Totally different guy. Different voice. Yeah. It's fine.
I mean, it doesn't help in some cases where I know who the voice actor was. Like, you had some of the Critical Role people doing them originally.
Right.
Now you have far more authentic accents, but maybe not necessarily as good a voice acting. Some of it's better, for sure. General Raubon is definitely way better. He now sounds like a actual actor instead of a guy that was like, "Show me a picture of the character. Oh, he's big? Okay, I will sound angry all the time and I'll just go every time I need to do a line."
Yeah.
So it's cool. I like that game. That game's still good. And I'm happy I'm into the expansion stuff, but man, people weren't kidding. It's worth going and looking up that stuff. If you did a skip, check it out, because my goodness, it goes places.
Speaking of Liam, by the way, I almost forgot to mention when I was playing Red Faction Guerrilla, he's the first NPC you talk to and dies almost right away. It's just a sad moment to have Liam die in the very first 5 minutes. He sounds like Illidan in it, but he's just dead. It's the end of Liam.
Aww.
Is that true, chat? Chat is saying Raubon is Sean Bean.
What? Really?
Is that true? I believe it. It does sound like him. I didn't think it was him, but it does sound like him.
I'd forgotten that John Cleese is all over ESO. He's that wackadoo guy with a pan on his head or a pot on his head. He's great. Who else did I see yesterday? I was like, whoa. Michael Gambon, who played the new Dumbledore in the later movies before or after Richard, what's his name died? Richard Harris.
Dumbledore 2.
Yeah, Dumbledore 2. He's the voice of the Prophet. Who else? There was somebody. Oh, I think Jane is in it. She's the big half giant freaking Skyrim chick that's in it. Is played by her. Anyway, good voiceover is hard to is good.
Yeah.
You want it in your video games. It turns out, yeah, it's important. Not bad to have. All right. Well done. Well said. You also, let's see. Fire Emblem and Disco Elysium. We talked a bit about Elysium last week, but I didn't know you were playing Fire Emblem still. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so I got Fire Emblem Three Houses on the Nintendo Switch for the hospital stay, because I was like, well, maybe if being a new father is boring, I'll be able to play the Nintendo Switch. That didn't happen, so I'm playing it now. And it's good. Here's the thing. I really like Fire Emblem. It's a series that is definitely my jam. It's a tactical role-playing game, which is something I always love. It adds in relationships, which is the thing I always joke that all those games need. It's got them. And it's got pretty fantasy anime stuff, which we've just now established is my thing compared to Scott's. So
Totally.
it's got that too.
Yeah.
And so I really like the Fire Emblem games. This one, I'm still very early in it. Is very pretty. It's all 3D, and the graphics are really good. It looks nice. I'm not sure I'm digging the vibe overall as much compared to other Fire Emblem games. So I'm
Interesting.
going to stick with it, but they have you make a pretty big, significant choice pretty early on, I think, without really understanding the stakes of it. And right now, that's still hanging in the back of my head as a concern.
Gotcha.
Because it's got that very much like, hey, this is going to color the next 100 hours of gameplay, and they give you no information on making that decision. Like, you get to talk to them and they're like, hi, I'm the head of this house. Hi, I'm the head of this house. They're like, oh, okay, well, great.
Yeah, great. Well done. All right. Well, fun stuff. Oh, anything to add about Disco Elysium since you last? I don't know why I keep saying Disco.
Disco.
Made it further in that. Got through my first night in that game, where I've gone to bed and reflected on the case and all that. That game's still crazy. People should go out and try that game. That game's a really unique, weird, wild thing that the more I play, the weirder it gets. The only issue I'm having with it is it seems to really want me to care about the politics of the area, which I do not care about.
Yeah.
And the game does support that. Like, you don't have to care about it. And the game will allow that to be the case. That doesn't mean people aren't going to talk to you about it.
Right.
So there's a lot of dialogue where I'm just like, and they did what now? And where are we located? And what's the name of this place?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't care. I still don't. It's
care.
made me really want to go back and play as a stupid character because I think that would just be a very funny playthrough. Because right now my character is very logical, can reference a lot of stuff. So when they talk about historical events and things like that, my character, his voice will chime in and go, "You know this. It means da 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 da." And I go, "Whoa, I do know about that. Let me share that information with you." But I, as a player, don't care about it, so I'm not paying attention to it. So I'm not really gaining anything. And I think going through and playing as a meathead would be kind of entertaining instead of going through as a smart guy.
I'd love to see a documentary on that game and how it builds out its stuff, just under the hood kind of things. I'm fascinated by that. A game that complex when it comes to, all those conversations, all of those dialogue choices, all of those having knock-on effects to other dialogue choices. That stuff fascinates me. Just seems like a math nightmare. And somehow games like that pull it off. It's crazy.
It's a strange beast because there's a real, like, I told you guys once that I have a hard time doing anything besides diplomacy and civilization because I don't want the other civs to not like me.
Yeah.
And then I realized one day that was a really stupid thought that I had. This game's eerily similar. This game confronts you with some really big potential, like, I'm going to just apply that to my character tropes. And because it's in a made-up setting, it does let you experiment with it and maybe not feel weird about it if you wanted to try it. But I still have a tendency to play it like me. So the game does confront you with a lot of, you want to drink heavily, which your character's definitely going to do, but whether you keep that up or not is up to you. Do you want to do drugs? How do you feel about racism? How do you feel about violence? How do you feel about, there's a point where you can pull a gun on a child if you want. Like, that game lets you do a lot of things that you as a person might not be comfortable with. Or might be way into.
Sure.
So
it's gritty and edgy.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one of those things where I have a hard time poking against the edges of that because I'm still playing very much how I would. And it's like somebody's like, oh, it's one of the people from the province. We hate those people. And, my character's going to be like, what do you mean those people? And stuff like that.
Right.
I am a little curious what that game gets at if you start going down some of the darker paths. I did accidentally accept a quest where my character was like, I need to find speed and I need to take speed immediately.
Oh, wow.
I just didn't realize what I was clicking, and then I gave myself a quest to find speed.
Speed with all speed is what you needed there.
Yeah. And I was like, well, maybe I don't actually want to do that.
Can you just dump a quest, or does that now affect things if you accepted a quest?
No, I could just not do it.
Okay.
I ended up reloading because my character committed pretty heavily to a thing I didn't want him to.
Yeah.
I just misunderstood what it was saying. Like basically my character was complaining that like day 2 of the hangover was worse than day 1. And my internal body was like, well, if you took some speed, you'd really deal with this. And the line about like, I agree, I should get some speed sounded like a let's not do that, but then it turned into a positive, and I was like, oh, whoops, I clicked the wrong thing.
Gotcha.
So I just reloaded and changed my decision to finding speed.
Do you
I'm
save?
sure there won't be a consequence to that.
No, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Do you save
It'll be
scum
fine.
in that game? Is that a game where you can just save right before you have a conversation, and that's the smart thing to do? Like, how does it work that way?
You can, but the game presents a lot of things where they have basically skill checks like D&D, where it's, you know, like, hey, make this kind of check for me. And they call them white checks and red checks. And white checks you can repeat after a certain amount of time has gone by. You can try again. And red checks are permanent. So you can save scum to try to get favorable results on those. But the game also has a mechanic in place where it's like, hey, you can try again after a time, you know, and maybe the results will be different because hours have passed or days have passed, things like that.
Right.
So I try not to, but you definitely can.
Okay. Well,
Interesting.
there you go. The update of Disco Elysium. Bo, you played an hour of Outriders. What did you think
I
of
did.
Our Riders?
Our writers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shooter.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it was a shooter.
It seems good, but I mean, it's only an hour. I played through the tutorial and got to where matchmaking was, and kind of just wasn't feeling up to it, so I turned it off at that point. It was good. I think it's probably a solid video game. I'm looking forward to digging into it more, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. But
Okay.
Very favorable. Runs like crap on my system. I might have to GeForce Now it, because if I want all the sweet graphics.
Oh yeah.
My I think I have, what is it, 1050 Ti or something like that. You know, budget card for the 1000 series.
Sure.
Doesn't run so great. You have to put everything on low, and it's you know, it's not beautiful.
Right.
So, excuse me, I may have to play it on GeForce Now, but you know, it seems like a fun shooter. Nothing standoutish, but I haven't leveled up. I'm like level 3, so I just got my force swing ability on the Trickster.
Just got going. Yeah, the Trickster sounds like a class you would enjoy.
Yeah, it's already been nerfed.
Yeah, they did nerf it pretty hard. By the way, there was
Yeah.
so funny you brought up GeForce Now. Well, not funny necessarily, but the Bethesda has now denied all access to their games. I don't know if it's all games, but like ESO, you used to be able to play on Now, which I think is a really cool thing, and you can't now. They pulled it, and the only thing I can think of is with Microsoft buying everybody and, you know, pushing for xCloud to be their streaming standard. I assume that's why they're doing that. So
that makes sense, actually. Yeah, xCloud is a thing that's coming, and it's going to be like a GeForce Now. So
yep,
yeah,
makes
why
sense.
would you not have it natively on the service?
Which
Makes sense.
I'm fine, except I bought, you know, my versions through Steam, and I don't know what any of that means for me. Like, can I migrate it? I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Well, I just don't know why they can't wait till they launch xCloud, then take it off. Like,
Yeah, do that.
is it a bit early?
Yeah,
But yeah,
I agree. But like, you know, Blizzard pulled all their stuff forever ago, a year ago or whatever. I don't know. I hate when I hear that. I wish GeForce Now, people just leave it well enough alone, let them run it like a virtual PC and knock it off. It doesn't change anything. You still get their subs. You still have to buy their game. You know, it's not like there's some weird hackery freaking bullshit going on here. So just let them do it.
The fuzziness is that they're profiting from the game.
Yeah,
You know,
I guess
like
so.
I know it's a virtual PC, but it's still the way it's marketed and sold. It's like, play this game and give us $5 to play the game, even better. And it probably just doesn't.
Yeah, but
rub
if
people the right
there was
way,
one
you know,
game,
the
if it was
principle.
$5 per month per game, I could see that. But because it's $5 and it's across the board, any game that will work with it, like, just, you know, it's like people are renting a PC. Just you're not going to get a piece of that business. So why get it here? I don't know.
Maybe to leverage action too. It's like, we have a property of value, or the fact that our property is on your site is giving you benefit. Where's our cut?
Well, it's obnoxious and it makes me want to poo.
So it's like they could totally just share it out in this awesome way, or they can be like, no, sorry, we're Blizzard. Like, we charge a lot for our games and you're benefiting from our properties. Like, where's our money?
Yeah. Where's my bitch better have my money, they say. That's how they say
exactly.
It. All right. Well, that's what's been going on. Oh, you played a lot of Hearthstone. That's good. You got your cards finally. You opened those up and went to town.
Yeah, like weeks ago, but okay. Yeah, no. I mean, there's not much to say here. Hearthstone be Hearthstone.
Yeah. It's always Hearthstone.
Yeah, I've been playing it. I've been having trouble playing games. And I don't know if we've really talked about it on the show, but I've been having I'm a little sore on my left side. It's hard to sit and do mouse and keyboard stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard to even sit for long periods of time. So anything that I can just use a mouse only on.
Yeah.
I've been playing some other stuff too, but nothing just worth, Monster Train and some other games. But
Monster Train is a good choice.
Consistent.
That would work.
Yeah,
that Dwarf Romantic.
I checked out the new X-Pac.
That Dwarf Romantic game is really good for just a mouse. That's a fun one.
Yeah. I mean, there's stuff like that. It's kind of got to sustain my attention a little bit too. I don't know. I think part of it is I'm able to also watch Hearthstone.
Yeah.
So these other games, it's like they're fun to play, but like also if I've been watching the competitive thing. I've just been kind of interested overall in that. That's sort of part of the appeal of any game like that has some popularity. So I'll also I've been watching the Grandmasters on YouTube and giving me some competitive video gamey to watch, which is nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's what we've been playing. But now I have to play a mashup. Jamie put this together weeks ago, and I kept forgetting to play it. So I'm going to play it now. This is called the Best of Core 2020. Yeah, that's right. You heard me.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's a big deal.
Jeez.
I feel bad for not playing it before, but I'm going
to
play it now.
I feel underdressed for this.
Me too. Here it is. Enjoy.
You gotta brush your teeth. If you must, you gotta comb your hair. If you must, you gotta wash your bum. If you must, or else you'll be funky.
Shut up, dick. This says alternative way to say it.
Penis.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't expect that. Yeah.
Well, that I can pronounce, so
Peenies.
I think I'll just call it.
Peenies. Hold on. So penis by itself.
Penis.
All right. Plural penises.
Peenies.
Peenies.
No, I would have said penises.
I would have too. Wow.
Soft.
Track balls.
You want a soft and supple trackball.
And it's been a long time since I've had a ball in my mouth. Try years. It's been a decade since.
I thought you said your mouth. So I was saying it happened a week ago.
No, I said mouse.
I thought you said mouth.
I'd make an exception for Diva. I would like to enter a mech from behind.
Grandma's whatever bread. Is that a drug?
Speaking of drugs, is Bo's voice all low to you, or is it just me?
Yeah, both.
Oh, do I have the reverse kidnapper?
If you're able to master and beat a game, are you master beating?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I didn't beat a lot of games as a kid, so I was not a great master beater, but, I feel like I got the concepts down.
Licking ears and eating shit? Wait, I'm sorry. It's what chips?
That's a different thing. That's a very different show.
I got it. John in the middle, on his back, looking up. Bo, fetal position. He's on this side, aiming at the wall. Fetal position for me, aiming at the wall.
Why am I between two buns? If you guys get gas, I'm in the danger zone.
There should be two private investigators. Like, one guy's last name's Dick, the other guy's last name's Balls, and then our law firm, like Dick and Balls Incorporated or something. That'd be great.
Turns out there's plenty to mine when your show's about politics, blood, and masturbation.
Probably bukkake, like virtual bukkake.
Oh, guaranteed
right?
stuff's
36
happening.
cameras.
Guaranteed. So
John got serious all of a sudden when I brought up the B word.
I take my bukkake very seriously. I got the name. It's Chooch Biggins.
Chooch or Cooch?
You called him Cooch.
It's a different thing.
Cooch
It's a fine thing, but it's a different thing.
Like another name for vag. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Maybe don't, snort cocaine every day and like have your wiener in a hooker every 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Braided and messy and clean and shaved and all this other stuff. And I'd love.
That's a good sound. That's a good
I
sound. We
dropped
got
something
one.
again. Gosh dang it. Oh my gosh. Look
Check
at the
out the
wiener
pic-
on that. What is the one guy doing on the.
What's he
Look,
doing
look,
with
there's
it?
this one guy who's balancing like a candle holder on his erect dong.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
yeah,
I'll.
look at the balancing guy.
I will
He's
n-
like, well, I use it for reproduction, peeing, and holding up my notes for the theater.
Hey, cut your hair short like you did back in your coffee shop days, and I'll shave these giant, enormous monkey pits that I have.
What if it was out the butt like a ponytail?
Now, are those tissues for when I cry, or are those tissues for like some pervy guy when he plays with his meatballs?
Hey, there's a wall vagina in this direction, and you're like, well, that's great, but I've already been in it.
You really derailed my attention with wall vagina.
Yeah, I've
now
been-
I'm thinking about his wall vagina.
I've already been in that wall vagina, you say to yourself. I don't know if Yoda ever had a last name either, and maybe they don't. They're a species without last names. I have no idea.
He did. It was Leihu.
Shut up. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We have to end the show now. We can't be here anymore.
I messed that joke up. It was
That
really
joke-
dumb,
that's
and I
still-
messed it up on top of it.
It's hard to do because you can't remember Yoda.
Yeah.
Leahy-hoo. That was really terrible. Thanks, everybody. It's been a good run, and we'll start a new podcast soon. Don't worry.
Wow.
I don't remember any of that shit. I remember the thing about it was early on. What was it? Hold on.
You gotta brush your teeth.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember when Bo was doing that for some reason.
Yeah, it's the Tony Hawk Pro Skater thing.
That's what it
That's-
was.
That song is on there. Still the funky Homo sapien again. We
Yep.
talked about Mr. Bob Dabalina last week.
Yep, Mr. Bob Dabalina. Did I capture that? I meant to. If I didn't,
Get your lazy ass up my couch. Get your lazy ass out. Get your lazy butt off my couch. Get
You
up
know-
off my couch.
really missed your calling. Why? For the rest of that night, I kept singing that
Mouth music?
Dabalina thing, and my family was
Yeah.
just like, "What is
Dabalina.
wrong with you?" It was insane.
I mean,
Anyway.
it was hot stuff in the 90s, 80s. I
Yeah,
can't remember
80s,
what year.
90s, 90s, 80s, something
Late
like that.
80s, early 90s, somewhere in that time.
Jamie, well done. Always good, and feel free to make more of those because we would enjoy.
Yeah,
playing
that
them.
was also very long. Not that I'm, covering the year, but we definitely had a lot of conversations about vaginas and penises.
Yeah, wall vaginas. And hold up your music penises. All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's outing. We'll be back again next week with more, and we'll see what that all holds. But in the meantime, we'd really love it if you like the show. Have you head on over to patreon.com/core show. That's patreon.com/core show and sign up for cool extras and bonuses and support your favorite video game podcast. Yeah, that's right. Core. Not the video game thing on the Epic Store, but this cool podcast. Patreon.com/core show. You can find us at frogpants.com/core. Talk to the core at gmail.com is our email address. CorePod on Twitter. John_Jagger, Bo Schwartz, and Scott Johnson as well. That's going to do it for us. Oh, my playing a card game thing is still up on Kickstarter. So if you want to play Rock Runners Incorporated,
yeah.
a thing I've worked very hard on for the last couple of years, still got like 2 weeks left on this thing or something like that. Maybe 2.5 weeks. It's crazy how fast this has gone, but also it's going slow. Anyway, excuse me. Go over to the
Couldn't wait.
website.
Hey, we're almost done.
Yeah. Check it out, Kickstarter.com, and just search for Rock Runners, and you'll see it. I did all the design, the art, and everything else. If you're looking for a fun card game for home or friends or whatever, it's perfect for that. So go check it out. I think it's going to do it. John, final words of wisdom before we leave from you, sir?
I don't think there are many things in this world more disturbing than the product called butt paste for babies.
I agree. Yeah, we have some of
Just
that
a,
here.
just a horrible, like it's a useful tool. It's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah,
Butt paste, very popular in the
Right,
household.
right.
Has an awful name.
yeah, it's a terrible name, and you got to use that weird applicator. I don't even want to know what that's called. It's gross.
No, I don't. I use a finger.
Oh, ew. Oh. All right, well, don't smell it or eat it after.
That's a hand applicator.
You know, they invented a thing called soap, Scott. I know in the pandemic nobody was talking about it, but there's a way to take care of issues if you have to, say, put butt paste on your baby's behind so that you're not walking around with a butt paste finger for the rest of the day.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're totally right. That's a good point. My daughter has a stick thing. She makes us use it. Anyway, hey,
I mean, look, it probably makes sense. Mine didn't come with an applicator stick. Mine was like, you figure out how to get this in the baby's butt, and I used the tools God gave me.
Yeah. No, I could see that. The one she got did come with a thing, and I just assumed they all did. But as we've learned, not all butt paste is made equal. All right. Hey, Bo, anything you'd like to add to the wisdom of the final bit of the show here in our waning
I
moments?
have no wisdom.
None?
That is the wisdom.
None?
Nope.
Shit.
I'm without wisdom. You know, I know this happens now because we have these conversations every episode.
Yeah.
You think I'd think ahead?
It's okay.
I
It's
got
fine if you don't.
I got massive brain fog,
Yeah.
and so my wisdom is, be nice.
Be
to
nice.
people.
Oh, I like it. I like
Okay.
that. That's nice.
And be nice to yourself.
Yeah, be nice
There
to
you
yourself. Take care of yourself and others. And we'll see you all next week.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
I have the chaff.
All right.
Have the chaff.